What's up, everybody? I'm David Hain, and I'd like to welcome you to episode 29 of the A to D From Addict to Disciple podcast. I'd like to give a big shout out to our Skype group in Krugersdorp, South Africa at Tower of Life Men's Shelter. And if you'd like to get a virtual group going at your location, you can contact me by going on my website, www.fromatod.org, click on the contact page, or you can leave me a message on Anchor. When we come back, we'll get into our episode entitled Taking the Message to Youth in School, an interview with Jarryd Smith. Welcome back to our interview with Jarryd Smith from Cape Town, South Africa. Jarryd is the founder of Second Chance Trust, and his group goes into schools throughout South Africa. Jarryd, it's great to have you with us today. Could you start by telling our listeners a bit about what you do?
Great, thanks. Thanks for having me. I think a lot of kids today are struggling with so many different issues. And for us at Second Chance, the heartbeat behind our message is teaching kids to make healthy decisions. You know, on paper, it sounds simple, but it's not always that easy because kids have so many things going on. They've got trauma, they've got fear, they've got anxiety, there's peer pressure, low self-esteem. So what we try and do is when we go into the schools, we try and inspire the kids through different workshops. We do things on decision-making, resilience, self-esteem, bullying, substance abuse, just to name a few. And I think for us, we want to help kids. We want to help kids believe in themselves. We want to help kids believe that they can achieve their goals, that they can achieve their dreams, that they can overcome the things inside of them that they're battling. So it's just to bring light to a dark world and to encourage people to become everything they were created to be.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You had mentioned peer pressure as one of the things they face, and what are you finding as the typical sort of peer pressure that teens are facing now in 2020?
I think there's two different types of peer pressure. I think there's the subconscious peer pressure where your friends are doing things around you and no one offers you anything, no one asks you to join, but there's like this subliminal message pressure that, you know, if I don't partake, I'm not going to be part of. You know, if there's a circle of kids standing around and everyone's drinking and you're not, there's going to be an underlying anxiety that you're not part of the circle, you're not part of the friendship. So automatically, subconsciously, we just take hold of a drink and take a sip just to be part of what they're doing. And then there's the other peer pressure where your friends say to you, listen, if you don't join us, you're not going to be our friend. Oh, come on, don't be a wuss, don't be a morphie. That's the right terminology. That's what we use here in South Africa. It's not a correct terminology, but that's what they say. So you get your friends saying to you, come on, join us, do it with us, don't be a wuss. And there's pressure there. So we end up making a bad decision just so we don't, experience that pressure from our friends. We want everyone to like us. So we end up making a decision that can cost us our future.
Yeah. So it sounds like, really that part of is, do I fit in?
Yeah.
And then once I figure out which group I fit in with, how the cliques are in all our schools around the world.
Yeah.
Then once I feel that I fit in, then I need to get that sense of belonging.
Yeah, that's the main thing, sense of belonging. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a scary thing because if we look in the world today, what people and what teenagers are willing to do just to have that sense of belonging, just to fill that empty void. It's scary and it's just a sensation and it fades and then they look for it again. And, sometimes the place that people are looking for love is the very place that's destroying them.
Yes, that's very true.
Yeah.
What are some of the fears that you see as you hold these small discussion groups on different topics that you think keeps the youth from asking for help or opening up?
I think fear of rejection. I think they're scared that people may reject them if they share their secrets.
Mm.
I think there's a fear of showing vulnerability and weakness. I think the society we live in, everyone's trying to look strong. Um,
Yeah.
I think there's a fear of being misunderstood and being judged, ridiculed. So I think there's a lot of fears around those sort of things, and that's why kids don't ask for help, because they say it doesn't look cool. And at the end of the day, I think sometimes kids don't ask for help is because they don't want to have to deal with the pain. Sometimes it's easier to keep quiet. It's almost like a way of avoiding the pain and the trauma inside of themselves. So, and that actually just makes the situation worse. So I think those are some of the things that keep kids from asking for help.
Yeah. I know when I was living over there in Cape Town and I was on CCFM radio quite a bit,
Yeah,
I would get flooded with calls from parents
yeah,
saying, "What do I do with my son? What do I do with my daughter?"
yeah.
Do you guys run into that same thing after you've been in different schools? And what are the questions parents are asking?
I think when we do our parent workshops, we get those questions. Generally, when we go to schools and we do our workshops and our motivational talks, we get messages from kids and parents just saying, thank you so much for the difference we've made in their kids' lives, or in the kid's life himself or herself saying that to us. I think the question that parents really ask is, how can I prevent my kid from going down the road that you guys went down? I think there's a lot of fear in parents' hearts because they don't want their kids to go down that road. And for those parents that kids are already down that road, they're looking for a magical answer, a magical recipe that can change their kids' lives. But there isn't one. We both know that it's about how can the parents place healthy boundaries? How can the parents try their best to position their kids in places where they can get the help they need? How can they educate their kids on the right information that can help them make healthy decisions going forward? So I think parents are always looking for assistance on how they can raise their kids in a healthy way and how they can help the kids overcome the challenges they're facing.
Yeah, that's one of those dilemmas where, the parents made the same or worse mistakes when they
Yeah,
were teenagers.
yeah,
And so then it's natural to try to protect your children from making those mistakes,
yeah,
while at the same time, the children are looking at the parents and saying, well, you guys partied when you were my age,
yeah.
and you guys, went out to clubs, you tried drugs, and it was only until your 30s or so that you slowed down. So give me my chance to enjoy
Yeah,
my
it's
youth.
true. Yeah, definitely. Definitely, that's
So,
the mindset.
yeah. So as you're working with these youth, how do you help them develop strong refusal skills? Because they're going to have the peer pressure, they're going to have the pressure from parents not to even try it. And so how do you work in getting them to work on good refusal skills?
I think for us, one of the main things that we try and equip the kids with is being able to slow down in that moment. So be more responsive and less reactive, and try and in that moment weigh up the options. If I make this decision, where is this going to take me? Because we always teach kids that their decisions create a direction, and that direction has a destination. So when they make a decision, that's going to actually take their life in a certain direction, and that direction has a destination. So when they face high pressure situations and situations of temptation, they got to say to themselves, if I do this, where is this going to take my life? What are the consequences? What are the possible consequences that are going to come from this? And I think the biggest thing we try to do in the midst of that is we try and get them to have a goal. We try and get them to have a vision, a purpose, something they're working towards, because I find that vision strengthens us in times of weakness. If I know where I'm going, if I know what I'm working towards, and I face a situation of temptation, and I remind myself of what I'm working towards, it's easier to make a healthy decision in that moment because what I'm working towards means a lot to me. So I think for us, it's about helping them be more responsive and less reactive, and weighing up the options, pros and cons in that moment, and realizing the consequences, both positive and negative, of decisions and choices that we make.
Awesome. Awesome. And you had mentioned holding these small groups as well as doing your assembly sort of meetings also. How do you get follow-up with these students once you leave the schools, or where do you lead them to go to keep the discussion going?
So basically, when we go to schools, we probably visit a school 3 times a year, and most of the schools we go to have their own counselors, own psychologists. They have life skills programs running throughout the year. They have different organizations coming. So what we do is we go in and we do our thing, and kids that come forward with maybe, things that we will then, speak to them about it, and then we will refer them to the counselor, and we'll make sure that there's follow-up sessions. But from a longevity point of view, we don't necessarily, go to a school more than 3 times a year. And we have an access point for kids to get hold of us through social media. A lot of kids message us through Instagram, and we get to assist them via Instagram. But yeah, if a kid needs rehab and they come forward and they say they're struggling with addiction, we can again refer them to different organizations, to their school counselor. But yeah, we basically are more in the equipping, preventing, and trying to give people a new perspective on life. And yeah, if there are people that are addicted, we try and get them some help as well.
Awesome. Do you have schools ask you guys after you're there, and I'm thinking of the school administration,
Yeah.
Do they ask you for advice on how do we set up partnerships? What other people from the community should we have involved to get this ball rolling as a regular thing?
I must be honest, not many schools. I think, and I don't know if that's just a South African thing, but I think, teachers and principals and school management are so busy trying to educate the kids that they are consumed by that. And then when you start talking to them about kids that are experimenting with drugs and X, Y, and Z, and they need help, I find that sometimes the school management team becomes overwhelmed by that. So they almost don't want to do more workshops because they're scared what may come out, and they have to deal with that.
Yes.
If that makes sense?
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. And I know when I was there working in Ocean View High School, I ran into that same sort of thing where it's the school obviously is there to educate.
Yes.
But they're also there to help develop young lives.
Yeah.
And that's a balance, which is why, I encourage, any schools anyway to take advantage of the resources in their own communities rather than feeling that they need to hire all the people to be at the school.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So, yeah, I mean, we've gone to some schools where we've done motivational workshops and stuff like that. And so much has come out that at the end of the day, the schools are like, no, we don't want you guys to come back. They didn't say it like that, but that's what they were saying to us, because just too much. Kids were just coming forward with stuff and problems, and they needed help. And I was just referring them to the school counselor, school principal, and it just became too much for them.
Yeah. So they were happy to have you come and do an assembly with a good hip hop show.
Yeah. Afterwards.
But, yeah. Stir the pot any further.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, if you had to say something, and our podcast has listeners in 30 countries now, if you had to speak to youth around the world, what's a word of encouragement that you'd like to sum everything up with?
I think at the end of the day, something that's so important to me is it doesn't matter where you are right now. It's something I shared this week. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter how many times you've messed up. It doesn't matter how far back you've gone. There's always still hope. If we're still breathing, there's still a chance of us to move forward. And it all starts with us making healthy decisions. And when I say that, I think for me, when I look back on my life, when I began to change, I had to force myself. I had to make decisions against myself. I had to rise from the streets and start to work on myself. I had to realize that my pain was actually a gift. That my pain was actually a gift, and it became my power. Everything that I went through, everything that I thought was a burden became a blessing. So I just want to encourage people, it doesn't matter where you are right now, if you rise from where you are and you start walking step by step in the right direction, willing to learn, willing to work through your pain, the best is yet to come, and you can become anything you put your mind to if you just work hard.
Amen. Amen. Good word. And in closing, you want to tell people how they can get in touch with you or follow your work?
Yeah, they can just check us out on Instagram, Second Chance Trust. That's 2ND Chance Trust, one word. And our website is www.2ndchance-.co.za.
Awesome. Well, Jarryd, great talking to you again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Since we chatted, and look forward to seeing you when I'm back over on your side.
Yes, definitely. Have a great day further. I know it's morning time your side, but enjoy the day.
Yeah, take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Abba.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the A to D from Addict to Disciple podcast. Tune in Monday for our next episode, an interview with Vanessa Hussen, the author of the book Drug Muled. If you'd like to support the reach of this podcast, share with your friends and click on the support link in this episode's description. Your donation could change a life. As always, stay safe and stay strong.